We're sitting here in 2025, and I just realized it's been almost 8 years since Mario Odyssey released. And that's actually kind of crazy when you think about it. Look, I don't have insider information regarding Nintendo's newest 3D Mario game, and I'm not claiming to know any secret plans, but I've been putting together some patterns and industry trends that paint a pretty interesting picture. So let's break down what we actually know, what can reasonably guess, and where Nintendo might be taking Mario next. First of all, let's discuss why this game takes so long to make and be released, or at least shown to the public. All the other 3D Mario games did not have a big gap between them, usually around 5 years at max, and they took even less time to be made, of course. For example, Nintendo spent the most amount of time developing Mario Odyssey, and it only took roughly 4 years to make. All the other games have been developed in less time. So this means that the development for this new game is taking an unusual amount of time or some other game delayed this title by a few years. But what could Nintendo introduce that is so ambitious it takes more than half a decade to be made? Or what could delay this game by this much time? Well, I can only speculate what the game is going to introduce or change, as we'll talk a bit later about that. Now let's focus on what games delayed this fantastic new 3D experience. Well, the answer is actually quite simple. These games are Bowser's Fury and Donkey Kong Bonanza. Now, I'll mainly be talking about Bowser's Fury because I already made an in-depth video about the new Donkey Kong game. If you wanna watch it, you'll find it in this video's description. So Bowser's Fury is a game that came along the remaster of Super Mario 3D World. It is an open world style game in which Mario's goal is to defeat Fury Bowser. In order to do that, you'll collect captures, solve puzzles, and fight him multiple times throughout the game. This game is great, but it has got a big flaw, its length. Unfortunately, Bowser's Fury can be finished in about 3 hours. So, if this game is so short, then why didn't Nintendo at least give us a teaser for the new 3D Mario? Because let's be serious, a 3-hour long game can delay a massive experience that the whole world is waiting for by these many years. This is where Donkey Kong Bonanza comes in place. You see, Bowser's Fury probably delayed the 3D Mario by a couple months, but then Nintendo started working on a very ambitious project that would require at least a few years to be created, Donkey Kong Bonanza. And they found out that the team behind Mario Odyssey was working on this game. That means that for the last 3 years, the creators of Odyssey have mainly been focusing on the new 3D Donkey Kong game instead of the Mario game, so I don't expect to see the new Mario game soon. But here where it gets interesting. While the Mario team was working on Donkey Kong Bonanza, they weren't just sitting idle. Bowser's Fury, despite being short, might have been serving a much bigger purpose than we initially thought. You see, Nintendo has a history of using smaller projects to test out ideas for their bigger games, but they simply don't show it to the public. And then I look at what Bowser's Fury accomplished in those 3 hours, it started to make a lot more sense. Most importantly, this is an open world Mario experience. It seems that Nintendo wasn't sure that gamers would like an open world game in the Mario franchise, so they gave us a bite-sized experience that showed what a game done in this way looked like. And thankfully, gamers loved it. That's why I think the new Mario game that Nintendo is preparing for us is going to be open world. But how could an open world Mario look like? Personally, I think that this game is going to be a glorified Bowser's Fury, but with slight changes of course. This bite-sized open world experience we received almost 5 years ago was truly amazing. You're able to explore any island you want, whenever you want, collect any catch-ons no matter how much time you spent into the game, and besides these groundbreaking mechanics, the game also has a beautiful art style and snappy precise controls. The only thing this new Mario game would have to do in order to be amazing are fixing the current problems of Bowser's Fury, like constantly fighting Fury Bowser and lack of exciting worlds and content. And after fixing those problems, they just have to expand on what gamers liked about older Mario games, while keeping the open world mechanic of course. For me, and probably for many other people, this would be the perfect game we've been waiting for. But there's another factor that might explain why you haven't seen this game yet, and it has to do with Nintendo's biggest business strategy. Look, Nintendo doesn't just release games randomly. They have a very specific pattern when it comes to spacing out their major franchises. You never see Mario, Zelda, and other massive titles competing with each other in the same window. There's always strategic spacing. And you can actually see this playing out right now. Nintendo Switch launched last month with Mario Kart World, and in just a few days you're getting Donkey Kong Bonanza. Nintendo's clearly following their established pattern of spacing out major releases to give each game its time to shine. This supports my theory about why I haven't seen the new 3D Mario yet. Think about it. Nintendo just launched new hardware with Mario Kart as the system seller. Now they're giving Donkey Kong Bonanza its spotlight without any major competition. You don't reach your biggest franchise by cramming it an already crowded launch window. But here's where it gets interesting for Mario. Now that the Switch 2 is out and people are buying it, Nintendo needs to keep the momentum going. They need major exclusives that will continue driving hardware sales throughout 2025 and 2026. And better way to do that than with a brand new 3D Mario experience. The timing actually makes perfect sense now. Donkey Kong Bonanza releases in a few days and probably gets a few months to establish itself in the market. The same thing is valid for other big games like Metroid Prime 4 and Pokemon Legends Z8. Then Nintendo can start building hype for the next major release. So when I look at Nintendo's current release strategy, it's not that they've been ignoring value. They've been strategically saving it for the right moment. So, putting all of this together, what's the most realistic timeline we're looking at? Well, I'm expecting Nintendo to reveal this game either at the end of 2025 or at the start of 2026. If that's the case, then we'll receive plenty of information about it for a few months, and only then Nintendo will release the game. That's how I think we'll be able to play it next year around this time. So until then, we'll have to wait and see. If you don't agree with me, make sure to tell me your opinion in the comment section. Also, if you enjoyed this clip, I'd really appreciate if you could like, subscribe, and share this video. I was David. Bye. Have a nice day.